TRS Clips, that one channel where you get to explore the unexplored realms of knowledge. You know, there's two words that we use for all this in India.
Tell me.
Deep state. Every time we do a geopolitics special in India, the deep state comes up. And the narrative is that a lot of the key decisions of the American government are decided upon by the deep state.
Yeah, they are.
What is the deep state according to an American?
Well, there's two concepts. I mean, this is good. There are two concepts of the deep state. One is the deep state is the permanent bureaucratic class, the people who don't move during an election. So when there's a new occupant of the White House, the deep state stays in its job. So these are people who basically are career federal employees. That's the unsexy part of the deep state. The sexy part of the deep state is the massive structure that is not explained to the American public or to the world. And so these are all the three-letter agencies: the NSA, CIA, FBI, Geospatial Intelligence, Department of Homeland Security, all of the secret squirrel apparatus.
So an aspect of the deep state is the top-level bureaucracy in America.
That's one half of it.
Yeah, and there's another part which is unexplained.
Well, which doesn't want to be known.
You know what we call that in India? The Illuminati.
Yeah. Well, we don't know what it is. Nobody exactly knows what it is.
Who's more powerful, the American president or the deep state collectively?
You're seeing that battle fought right now.
This is the first president who's probably more powerful than the deep state?
The way I read it is this is the first president who came from outside the system.
There's a political system in America and you have to climb the ranks in order to eventually become the president.
There's a secret political system in America.
A secret political system?
Yeah. I mean, you can figure out that it's there. It's not that hard. But we pretend that anybody can become president. And we have these primary elections, which aren't really elections. They're fake in a very strong sense.
Where the Democratic and the Republican candidate is decided.
That's right. But it's really sort of decided by the party. It's not decided by the election, but we pretend to have an election. And that's how Donald Trump came through, is that they were pretending to hold a primary. But look, Donald Trump is the first person to become president with no previous history in government or military. Full stop. We've never had somebody come in from outside. And since Millard Fillmore, we haven't had anyone who was neither a Democrat nor a Republican. So in other words, the system always has one candidate from each of two parties. That person always is a known quantity. The party really selects who the candidate will be in the general. And that way, we have continuity. And Donald Trump is not continuous. He's an anomaly. He's the most unusual president and most unusual politician we've ever had.
You think he's the kind of guy who doesn't listen to the deep state?
Oh, he better listen to the deep state, but he's not necessarily going to go along with it. I mean, you have to remember that there were two attempts that we know of on his life. And we don't really understand. One of those is both of those are super suspicious, in my opinion.
Modern day conspiracy theory.
No.
Modern day truth?
No, we know something about this. What are the odds that one of the people who was trying to kill him was going to be like a construction worker wandering around Afghanistan looking for freedom fighters to send to Ukraine? That's not really a normal occupation, Ranveer. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Good to hear an opinion from another part of this earth. Because we hear a lot of opinions by Indian people about the Illuminati, about the deep state. Love hearing about, something like Trump from an American. And then Trump from a very objective third-person lens. I think people get very passionate when they speak about Trump nowadays. American citizens. Everyone's like very divided on their opinions.
I find it very strange how people treat this, by the way.
The Trump conversation?
Yeah. I mean, So let me throw something to you and tell me what you think of this theory.
Sure.
I think that we were dominated in many ways by mid-20th century idealisms in many of the major countries. So the U.S. idealism was built around the New Deal and something called the Great Society, programs of Lyndon Johnson in the 1960s. Turkish society was built around Ataturk's theory of the secular Muslim state that is the successor to the Ottoman Empire. India was built around Nehru and Gandhi and this kind of secular country that we were just discussing. Israel was built around David Ben-Gurion and the Labor Party and this sort of narrative of a people for a land with land without a people. And somehow all of these narratives are being repudiated at the same moment. Modi is in some sense a repudiation of the founding idealisms in the late 40s. Erdogan is the same thing to Ataturk. Trump is undoing the sort of great society idealism of Johnson. I think that this is a global phenomenon. We're all experiencing it locally. So we're getting angry at Trump for the same reason that we're getting angry at Erdogan, for the same reason we're getting angry at Modi. And we're not noticing that it's happening globally. What do you think?
There's a shepherd making the sheep move in a certain direction.
Or that it's organic and emergent. Maybe the idea is that all of those idealisms were overreach.
But then why is it happening at the same time?
Because of the phone.
Ideas are traveling.
Yeah, it's like somebody invented the printing press on steroids. And worse, the podcast revolution. I mean, the reason I got involved with this in part was I just couldn't believe that this technology was allowed to exist. It's a nightmare.
So do you think that these groups like Joe Rogan?
I think that they've established an uneasy balance with Joe.
They know he's going to do his thing, but they're frustrated, yet they can't do much.
Well, let's put it this way. Have you ever seen a story where somebody gets shot with a bullet and they don't take the bullet out? Because it's too dangerous to take the bullet out?
Yeah.
Right? And so the bullet becomes encapsulated, and it's better just to leave it where it is, lodged. Maybe they wouldn't let Joe Rogan become Joe Rogan now, but to remove him? Then are you going to get Theo Vaughn, filling that slot? Are you going to get Tim Dillon? So in a weird way, I have this feeling that they're not thrilled about Joe Rogan, but they know that what would replace Joe Rogan might be much, much more dangerous. And by the way, when you get canceled, you'll notice that you find yourself changing.
Yeah.
You'll start to self-censor.
Yeah.
And you'll say things like, I'll try to do better. And in part, they teach you and they train you. So you have to think about, what did I actually do that was wrong? And what am I being induced to do because I'm being piled on to? Look, one of the reasons that I wanted to do this podcast changed. I originally wanted to do this podcast because it was India's counterpart. Somehow the Indian market for ideas is underexplored. You have a huge number of people who are very good at English over here. We don't treat India as an Anglophone country. And, there you are up at the top. So immediately I checked you out. But when you got canceled, I got super excited to do the podcast because, it was a brain fart, or shit testing, as the kids say, that, suddenly, it looked bad. Sort of a thing that you thought of in your brain, you say it, and then you realize after the fact that was a mistake. But then the exaggerated immune response. I have this thing about standing up for people in trouble. And I was super excited to do the show as a result.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for consuming this clip, दोस्तों. अगर ऐसे ही और clips explore करने हैं, तो इस channel के playlists को ज़रूर explore करना.